Welcome to episode 41 of XVGM Radio. I'm Mike.
I'm Justin.
And we're doing something a little different for the YouTube crowd specifically.
Woo!
Woo, YouTube. So, you may notice that we have a pile of presents here. Weird, right?
Yeah, what's that all about?
Well, I don't know. They just kind of showed up. No, so we are doing a special winter-themed, holiday gift giving special on this episode as kind of a special thing for YouTube only.
Right.
Yeah.
And this episode is coming out on Christmas Day.
Yeah.
Does not mean that it's necessarily a Christmas episode, although Mike, it does look like you used Merry Christmas wrapping paper.
I did. And you used blue and white, which is Hanukkah for me, so...
Exactly.
Go figure.
So, Happy Hanukkah, Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, right,
Kwanzaa, and whatever it is you celebrate.
Winter solstice.
Yule, Merry Yule.
What's the other one? Crimbus. Isn't Crimbus a thing? Is Crimbus a thing?
Festivus?
Festivus, that's a thing. Festivus for the rest of us. So yeah, we're gonna do a little gift exchange thing. I think it'd be fun.
Yeah.
So we've set kind of like a limit for how much to spend. I think we spent what, 50? 50 bucks each. And we are gonna go ahead and open each other's gifts. So I'm gonna say that I want you to open this one first.
Okay.
You go first.
What
could it be? What could it be?
Wrapping paper, my favorite. I'm gonna say it with every present I open.
Awesome.
Just so that everybody else knows what to expect. Oh, nice!
Do you have that?
I do. I actually got it from a Kickstarter. But, but it, the book that I got, I did a Kickstarter from Mist's 21st anniversary.
Yeah, so show them what you got.
It's a classic game of Mist.
Yes, this is what Mist Reimagined.
Yeah, the Masterpiece Edition.
Yeah.
I do not own it in this form. So what I got, it was just like a bunch of sleeves. Like, it came with all the games and the book, and they're all in little sleeves. I do not have like the jewel case and everything else. So
awesome.
This is still
that is still a
collection.
get. That is still a get.
It is
awesome.
Nice.
Sweet.
Thanks, man.
No problem. Yeah. All right.
So.
Well, you had more gifts, I think, than I do.
Yeah, I think I went with a couple of slightly bigger things.
Okay.
I went with when we set the limit. I was like, okay, so I can afford that, and that, and then I sort of I filled with some big things and then filled down.
Okay, so let's do this one first. Okay, and because this one is a double gift, it's like a one.
Oh, that's hilarious. This one is too.
Oh, it is cool. All right,
but this one's going first for you because I want to watch you open this.
Okay. All right.
Ooh, UPS.
It's from U.S. Postal.
Castlemaine.
Well, that's just a box. It's just a box.
I'm like, what did I get from Castlemaine? That's dangerous.
Here. I will do the honors.
Cut in.
Yeah.
Anything that might be under there.
Live hamster.
Oh my God! It's a live hamster.
All right.
Nice.
Isn't that cool?
Aww. Balamgarden Athletics Department. I accidentally read it at first as Atheist Department. And was like, okay, that's weird, but...
Hey, it could exist.
I mean...
So that is a t-shirt from Final Fantasy VIII. It's a special, fan-made shirt thing that makes it look like you went to the Balamgarden and...
That's so cool.
Because I know you're a huge Final Fantasy VIII fan.
And I appreciate it, because I know that you're not.
Yes.
So, thank you. That's so cool.
Yeah, no problem.
All right, so...
Cool.
This one first.
All right, opening... Should I shake it?
No.
Okay, so it's a bomb. Got it. All right, here we go. All right. What do we got in this box for me? What do we got in this box for me? Free? I don't know.
Yeah.
Oh, candy?
So I made you some chocolates.
You made me some chocolates? Yo, he made me some chocolates. These are good. Okay, and...
They're all controller shaped.
Ah, how appropriate! An XVGM Radio mug! I don't have one of these.
It's the first one, the only one as far as I'm aware right now.
Did you get this off our store website?
I did not.
You didn't support our store website?
I didn't want you to know what I was buying and
that's
get the emails.
Funny. Okay.
So I went outside of our normal
Oh,
store.
man. He didn't even use our merch website. That makes sense, though, because we both get the email like, thanks for buying this thing. What? That's really cool. I like how it's, like, rounded off. Let's see if we can get that in the image. I think I like this better than I think ours. Well, then again, I haven't actually bought one for ours.
I tweaked with it a bit just to try to get it to look the way I wanted, so I'm glad that you like the way it looks.
Yeah, no, I like it. It's cool. Awesome. Can't wait to drink coffee out of it.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, you go next.
So both of them?
So open this one, the big one first, and then the little one is kind of like a bonus. And I'm gonna eat more chocolate. Red. They're all shaped like controllers.
Oh, nice. Starlink Battle for Ass. This is the game that, it's not a Star Fox game, but Star Fox is in it.
It is basically a Star Fox game, so show everybody what you got.
Starlink
Battle
for Atlas.
That is the starter pack. So the way it works on the Switch is it's got like bonus Star Fox stuff, and no joke, this is like what I wanted out of a Star Fox game. Like I wanted a full world with the characters and everything, and like you play as these other characters, like the cutscenes initially, but then as you are watching the cutscene unfold, you immediately pretty much see like Star Fox and team show up, and they have like fully like voiced over lines throughout the entire game. It's not like a little sub part of the game. It's like you can play as Star Fox or Fox McCloud throughout the entire game if you wanted to.
That's awesome.
So it's really cool. There was some additional Star Fox material that was released for it afterwards. So now open that. So the way it works is it's like toys, and you can buy them or you could do the digital
like
only
thing, right?
Yeah, a little bit like Skylanders.
So Skylanders, I don't think you could do stuff if you didn't have the toys.
Correct. You could buy these digitally. That is an additional fighter pilot, one of the characters in the game.
Eli Arborwood.
Yeah. So So the way it works is you take the ship out and you set it up on this like Joy-Con controller thingy, and then you get a pilot. You could do Star Fox or this dude who I can't remember his name, and then you get 2 weapons right off the bat. One weapon goes on each arm, and you can upgrade your weapons and stuff. And I have a bunch of them, so if you ever want to upgrade,
is this an online multiplayer?
It is an online multiplayer if it's docked, I believe. So so we can play it too online if you want.
That's pretty sweet.
Pretty neat, yeah.
Nice.
So enjoy.
Well, thank you. And you enjoy.
Oh
this.
snap! I'm gonna break it. No. What is this? Oh, I'm gonna go with hobby knife. Hobby knife. Scalpel.
I'll admit my wife helped me a little with the wrapping.
Mine did too. Mine did all the wrapping. So
I did the wrapping.
She
was like, no, you got to put a bow on it. I was I don't do bows.
No, men don't do bows. Men mostly don't do bows. I want to say all men.
It was mostly because we both wanted to get this on there, the little name tag.
Okay.
And he was like, the only way is going to tie it on. So
that's pretty cool. All right. Oh, this is double wrapped. This is wrapped with Mario wrapping paper, and then it's wrapped with. There we go. All right. Let's see what we got here. Oh my goodness, I think this is vinyl. I think this is vinyl. I smell vinyl. Or records, or LPs, or whatever the kids call them these days. Whatever the damn kids are calling these days.
This is strip not working.
This strip is not working. Okay, here we go. Moment of truth. Oh, I don't have this! Awesome! Contra 3, The Alien Wars on vinyl. What an appropriate gift. Awesome.
Thought you would like that. As you were building your record collection, I was like,
yes.
Patty, what doesn't he have? And she's like, I don't know. I'm like, can you look for me and let me know?
Oh, Patty? You asked my wife?
Yes.
Okay.
And it was funny because I'd asked your wife to help me with some of this stuff.
Yeah.
The day before I came over, and you were like, oh, my wife's gonna be no help. It's just like,
oh yeah.
Great.
No, she doesn't know all the stuff where I have everything or whatever. So okay, awesome. So this was fun. Yeah, we'll have to spin this at some point in time. Thanks, Justin.
No problem. Thank you. These are awesome.
Yeah, awesome gifts. So thanks, guys, for watching, and stay tuned for the episode, which is coming up right now.
You're listening to XVGM Radio.
Welcome to XVGM Radio, where the bits keep coming. I'm Mike.
And I'm Justin.
And this is episode 41, Winter TRAX.
It's Winter TRAX.
Winter TRAX.
Kind of like summer jams, but Winter TRAX.
Yeah, it's that time of the year again. Christmas time, Hanukkah time, Kwanzaa time,
Yule time,
Thanksgiving time, all that good stuff.
Yes.
We are recording this on the eve of Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving here in America, the United States. We have our little drinky drinks. What are we drinking tonight? We are drinking...
Is it Jim Beam?
It's Jack Daniels.
Jack Daniels cider whiskey.
Cider whiskey mixed with a little bit of Coke. And I gotta say, it's really good. So for you adults listening out there, enjoy that beverage.
It's delicious.
Yeah, it is really good. So today we are going to play some winter tracks. Now, we are going to be doing something a little special for the YouTube crowd on this episode. So normally on this podcast, it's an audio only experience for the most part. If you're listening right now, you're most likely listening on a podcatcher or iTunes or Apple Podcasts, Spotify, whatever it is that we use, Google Podcast. But YouTube has always been one of those weird things where we put up the episode and we're just kind of like, whatever happens, happens. And we don't really generally do that much with the YouTube video version. For those of you just listening to this and you aren't watching on YouTube, you may want to head over to the YouTube link because we are doing a special gift giving introduction to this episode. So we won't kind of intermingle it in with the actual episode itself right now that you're listening to it.
It'll just be in the front, like before the intro song, before everything else.
Exactly.
You'll see us doing goofy things.
So for those of you who are watching the YouTube version, you're like, why are they explaining stuff we just watched? I'm sorry. So if you watched it and you're like, cool, then you can go back to listening to the episode on your regular podcatcher.
We now return you to your regularly scheduled program.
Exactly. So yeah, we're going to be playing some winter tracks for you today. We've picked a bunch of songs that get in the holiday spirit. Lots of jingly janglies from the sleigh bells, and a lot of songs that are very kind of hopeful yet somber at the same time.
Yeah. Stuff that, for one reason or another, makes us feel like winter.
Yeah, exactly. And we'll explain that, of course, for each track. So the track that we came in on is a banger. That was Jazz Jackrabbit 2 Holiday Hare. That's the expansion to Jazz Jackrabbit 2. This came out for the PC in 1998. The track is level 1, and that was by Alexander Brandon. So what did you think of this track?
It was cute. It was a nice little mixture of a couple different holiday tunes with some original, what I'm assuming is Jazz Jackrabbit-esque music. I have not played the Jazz Jackrabbit games, so I'm not super familiar.
Yeah, so we did briefly talk about Jazz Jackrabbit, the series in general, on the Coda
Yeah, I was going to say way back in
interview.
episode 5.
Yeah, so we talked with Coda, and he said that one of his greatest inspirations for composing were the Jazz Jackrabbit. I think he said like the...
And Jill the Jungle.
Jill the Jungle. Yeah. So these are like exclusive PC platformers, but they have amazing music, and Jazz Jackrabbit 1 and 2 are definitely up there with the tunes. Really, really good stuff. I kind of found this song on accident. I was looking for something to use for an intro, and I kind of came across this, and my actual collection was like, oh, this is really good. I forgot about this. And there's another Christmas track on this expansion, and it sounds like I think it's called Carol the Bells.
Oh, yeah. Da, 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 da,
Yeah.
da,
It has that kind of intermingled, but this song has Jingle Bells intermingled in with it as well, which is really cool. Good song. The game itself, Jazz Jackrabbit 2, is the sequel to the first, of course, and this one...
You mean to tell me this didn't come out first?
This did not, no. This is a story about a rabbit named Jazz Jackrabbit.
Yeah, he's got some weapons.
Weapons, yes. And you are chasing after your arch nemesis. His name is Devin Shell.
Guessing that's a turtle.
I don't know. I don't know. I haven't actually played these games, unfortunately, but I've heard they're really good. You're trying to retrieve the ring that you were going to use to marry your, I guess, fiance Eva, who I believe is a female bunny. I assume. So that is the name of the game. This game was released, or at least developed, by Epic Games. It was back then they were called Epic Mega Games. Now they're of course the huge giant conglomeration of video game development teams, and so they're way more famous now with Fortnite, and of course Gears of War and Unreal Tournament and all that stuff. So yeah, when they became Epic Games, that whole thing kind of completely changed. Started out as Potomac or Potomac.
Potomac, I think.
Yeah, Computer Systems in '91, and that only lasted for a year until they changed
to Epic Mega Games in 92, and that lasted until 99, and that's when they became Epic Games.
Wow.
Yeah, cool.
Wow.
So, I don't know, fun little action platformer game that has really chill music. So,
Yeah.
if you like Episode 5's music with Coda, I think you'll really dig this.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Looks like a cute little game.
Yeah, good times. The composer, Alexander Brandon, never heard of him before. I guess he has done a little bit of work in the design aspect of video games, but audio-wise is his big push. Started off with a game called Tyrion in 1995, and then he moved on to stuff like Extreme Pinball in 95, Unreal in 1998, Jazz Jackrabbit 2, Vigilante 8, and the sequel Vigilante 8 Second Offense.
Oh, yep.
And he also came out with Unreal Tournament in 1999, then followed it up with stuff like Deus Ex Invisible War.
Oh, yeah. Classic games.
Thief Deadly Shadows in 2004, he's labeled as Keepers. And then he kind of like moved over to like audio direction with a lot of bigger games. Spy Hunter Nowhere to Run, that was the Dwayne Johnson-led Spy Hunter game. The third in the rebooted series that came out for like Xbox and PS2. Yeah. There's a ton other stuff that he worked on. He did an additional music for Deus Ex Human Revolution in 2011. That was when they rebooted the series.
Kind of the newer entries.
Yeah, and those are pretty good. Then he also did the director's cut of that, Leisure Suit Larry Reloaded. He did sound effects on. And then he just kind of bounced all over the place. His final game recently was Vacation Simulator in 2019. He's labeled as Cast. So that is just, I don't think that's composition-wise, but...
It was probably voice acting talent.
Yep. He did sound design in the Bard's Tale 4 Borrows Deep in 2018. He was also the audio consultant on that. So, yeah, still in the game today, which is really cool.
Nice.
Yeah. So
what do you got for us?
My first pick is from a very, very popular game called Celeste. This came out on the PlayStation 4, the Switch, and the PC in 2018. This track is called First Steps, and it's such a perfect, like, first song, because it's the very first song in this game that you hear, like, when you're starting off, and it's by the very talented Lena Raine. Hey, welcome back to XVGM Radio, and that was Celeste. That came out on the PlayStation 4, the Switch, and the PC in 2018.
Wow.
Yeah, that was First Steps by Lena, Raine.
That was really chill.
Wasn't it? So chill. So good. I love the, like, video game-inspired New Age Moog sound that this was putting out. Those keys on that synth are just so warm and so vibrant, and the whole track just like oozes personality.
Yeah. I didn't really know what to make of this track because like I felt like it took me different places, but those places weren't really the same.
Okay.
Like there is part of it that's really relaxing, kind of feels like sitting by a fire in the middle of winter with snow outside. And then there's part of it that kind of feels like, I almost want to say sledding, but it doesn't, it's not fast enough to really be sledding. It's more like
Slow sledding.
well, like being out in the woods, like hauling a sled behind you,
Okay.
going somewhere like through the woods.
Okay, I could see that. I'm relatively new to the Celeste experience.
As am I. I'm going to say right now, I didn't even know about this game.
Oh, really?
Like I've heard the name Celeste.
Sure.
And I do now know that it's on most systems, and it's this cool little indie platformer.
It also came out on Xbox One.
Yep.
Yes.
Xbox One, PS4, Switch, PC.
All the good
Mac.
stuff. Yeah, Mac. Yep. Yeah, I am one of those types of people that when, I don't know, maybe it's me being antisocial or something, but when people hype a game, I'm generally one to back away. I'm the type of person who will be like, let me wait for the heat to die down and then just experience it myself. But if it's a game that everyone's like, oh, this game's gonna be terrible, this game sucks, blah, 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 then I'm like, well, hold on. Let me see why. And in that situation, like Contra Rogue Corps that came out, I went and picked that up, and I enjoy it. I mean, it's fun. It's not
That's
the
the
same
really
as,
silly one, right? Or not silly, but that's one of those, there's like a bear or something.
Yeah, it's different. I mean, like the Contra series has always been, not to derail too much from our
Yeah.
Celeste conversation, but
So it's been a little-
the Contra series has always been
Yeah,
pretty
yeah.
wacky. But my experience with that game was completely different from Celeste, because with that I knew what I was getting into for the most part. With Celeste, I knew almost nothing about it. I knew it had something to do with a girl and like some evil twin or something like that. So the whole point of the game, first off, you're not playing as a girl named Celeste, for the record.
No, Celeste is the mountain.
Celeste is the mountain, correct. And so you're playing as a girl named Madeline, and she is, I guess it's her goal to climb this Celeste mountain. And so you encounter a couple characters along the way, but for the most part, I'm very early in the game. I just found out about Madeline's like doppelganger, so I just ran into her. So I'm very, very early into the experience, but I couldn't help but pick a track from this game's soundtrack. One, because the music is fantastic, but two, it really kind of brought me back to those early indie experiences that were coming out in like 2010, 2009, 2011, around that time.
Yeah.
Stuff like Super Meat Boy, stuff like Fez, stuff like that. I get the same vibe and feeling from this game in terms of the soundtrack that I got from Disaster Piece's Fez soundtrack, where every song has a purpose. Every song has a moment. Just like in old school games, you can pick apart the soundtrack and go, I remember the first time I heard that song. I remember the first time I played that level. I remember the first time I heard this entire soundtrack together. And there's not a lot of games that give me that vibe. I would say in the past 10 years, maybe like, honestly, like Saints Row 3, mostly Saints Row 4, I would say, because I played it so much. And then I was going to say also Shantae, like Shantae and the Pirate's Curse. And I feel like Celeste is going to be one of those experiences where you finish the game and you're just like, that was breathtaking. That was exciting, and I want to jump back into it.
Well, sounds like a lot of fun. Is it one of those games that has a lot of replay value? Like, is it a different experience type of thing, or other stuff to find after you beat it the first time?
It feels like, so far, it feels like one of those kind of games where like you go one way and then you got to kind of backtrack if you want, and then maybe explore a different way in the game in order to like, uncover all the secrets. There's these like strawberries that you can grab from all over the place. They're like, I guess, like secret things. And then there's like these special cassette tapes too that like you could find in like secret parts of the levels too. I think they uncover like different chapters or like additional chapters in the game, so it's pretty neat.
Neat. That sounds like fun.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. This game, kind of like an indie darling, like I said, like Super Meat Boy, like Fez, like Shantae, like all those types of games where it's got something special about it, and It's well worth playing. I still can't get on the Undertale train. But this I definitely warmed up to. I think the soundtrack is a big part of that. This composer, Lena Raine, has mostly done work with the Guild Wars series.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So this is kind of her big thing that everyone knows her for now. Like before, it was just like hardcore PC people who were like, "Oh yeah, that's the the Guild Wars composer."
Yep,
But
yep.
yeah, now everyone knows her for Celeste.
Yeah.
So-
And I mean, just to go on that, the Guild Wars stuff is actually really good. My wife and I played Guild Wars 2 for a while.
Oh yeah.
The music in that's really good. The music is appropriate for the different areas. I thought it was really well composed, so
Yeah.
we won't go too into that, but I did like her music in that.
Yeah, I played the first one
yeah.
when it came out, and I don't know, those games just never.
Yeah, I mean, Guild Wars 2 it's totally different than the first one.
Is it
It's
really?
Like I think 1,000 years later.
Oh, okay.
It's very. I shouldn't say very different. They're both MMOs, but they came at it in a different approach. So
Cool.
But yeah.
It feels almost like a puzzle box, if you will. So it's a 2D side-scrolling puzzle platformer type game. You're trying to figure out how to get from point A to point B, or sometimes from point A to point B to point C. And what's cool is you can pretty much die like an infinite amount of times, or at least as far as I gather, that you could just keep dying. Because the whole point, just like Super Meat Boy, is to try to get to the end of the level, and the physics behind it feel very similar to Super Meat Boy. So trying to get from point A to point B is the challenge, but it's also the reward as well when you actually make it happen. So
Nice.
yeah, very, very cool game with great soundtrack. I've tried a couple times to reach out to Lena just to congratulate her and to maybe see if she wanted to be on the show. Unfortunately, did not get any response.
She may be embroiled in many other things.
Yes, she may be a busy lady. So, but let's move on to our next game. What do you have for us, Justin?
So this is a game called Xenogears, which came out on the PS1 back in 1998. The track is called The Jaws of Ice, and it was composed by Yasunori Mitsuda. Welcome back. That was The Jaws of Ice from 1998's Xenogears. That was the PS1 game.
Whoa.
And it was composed by Yasunori Mitsuda.
The Jaws of Ice. Ooh, spooky.
I mean, yeah, spooky. To explain where this one came from, this one, obviously, from the game Xenogears, takes place in like an ice environment. It's been so long since I played this game, I don't remember it as well as I wish I did.
Okay.
But this track, aside from, it happens in a snowy area and reminds me of being cold in the winter, it also reminds me a lot of like the ice cave / Hoth scenes from Empire.
Yes. That is a good observation. I'm with you on that.
That was the big reason for me picking this one. It was like I heard this and I was sort of brought back, not well enough to remember it specifically, but I was brought back to the game, like all the snowy cold area, and then just I heard some of these things. I'm like, it sounds like Star Wars. What?
I have not played this one, but I definitely get an ice vibe from this. And I get a very, almost like trapped under ice, or almost like right before you get trapped under ice. You know what I mean? Like, it's right before the ice is about to break.
Yep.
It's a great little classical number that definitely feels that way. It's weird though. Yasunori Mitsuda composed this, that I just don't hear.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying it's a bad track at all. I'm just saying that it's just, I don't hear his... I hear Star Wars, I hear John Williams. I don't hear Yasunori Mitsuda. His style is very unique. And, I mean, when you hear some of the other stuff that he's worked on, which you'll have to fill us in on that one. But
I can go over that in just a second.
Yeah.
But I mean, so his first music composition, from what I see here, is Chrono Trigger in 1995. He started out in 92 on Final Fantasy V doing sound effects, and did a lot of sound effect stuff up to that point. And then from there, you've got Front Mission Gun Hazard, Mario Party 2, music composition, Chrono Cross, obviously after doing Chrono Trigger. And let's bounce up the list here. Legaia 2 Dual Saga, game I've talked about a couple times. 10,000 Bullets in 1995. Soma Bringer in 2008 he did music on. And let's bring us up to the top here. Most recently coming back to the Xeno series, did Xenoblade Chronicles in 2010, Xenoblade Chronicles 2 in 2017, and finally Valkyria Revolution in 2017.
See, now you hear Xenoblade Chronicles 2 and Xenoblade Chronicles, and you listen to those soundtracks, that's Mitsuda. That is like hardcore, definitely up 100%. You listen to that and you're like, oh man, that just oozes
It's
Mitsuda.
modern Mitsuda.
Yeah, but it also brings back that Chrono Trigger vibe.
Yeah.
Whereas this, I don't get that from. And maybe the rest of Xenogears does.
I was going to say, I feel like the rest of the soundtrack has a slightly more Mitsuda vibe.
Interesting.
I mean, I would claim that it's early in his composition life, but like you said, Chrono Trigger was one of the first. No, Chrono Trigger was the first music composition that we have here. So I guess that's not really a good excuse, but I would wager to bet that Star Wars vibe is probably what he was going for in this.
Yeah, that is true. And that really kind of makes me interested in hearing the rest of his stuff on Xenogears. Yeah, so many Xenos. Too many Xenos.
Oh my god. Just no.
I just picture like Cosmos like stabbing a bunch of people. Too many Xenos. So, did you know that Xenogears was originally meant to be Final Fantasy VII?
Oh, I did actually. I just read that too. When he had pitched the idea, they were going to use it for the Final Fantasy series, and then they decided to go with something else, and they decided to let him do his own thing.
Right.
I mean, not Mitsuda, because Mitsuda's not the creator. Tetsuya Takahashi.
Oh. Right, because he's the director.
Yep.
Right.
And then eventually, after Square decided to focus more on the Final Fantasy games, he decided to leave Square and create Monolith Soft, so that he could do his own thing.
Yep.
And then that's where Xenosaga 1, 2, and 3 came from.
Yep.
See, I thought you were going to say, was I aware that Xenogears was supposed to be a 6-part series,
Oh.
as was Xenosaga?
Oh, okay.
Which obviously I do.
And then, of course, Xenoblade.
The Xeno series is Tetsuya's sort of like baby, and I mean, they're not all directly like storyline linked, but they are all set in a like sci-fi sci-fi fantasy universe that has a lot of common elements. So while every game may not connect to the others, they are all sort of thematically linked.
Interesting.
For, an early PS1 JRPG, very similar to the whole Final Fantasy VII and all that stuff that was coming out in that time. It's a good game. I have this one.
Yeah.
I have it. I intended to, play it and, regain all my save stuff and regain all my memories of having played the game, but I have no idea if that will ever happen because this game is huge.
As it is with RPGs, moving from one RPG to the next, and moving from one Square Enix game to the next.
Yes.
Well, that was a Square Soft game. This is a Square Enix game. We have Star Ocean, Integrity, and Faithlessness. This came out on the PlayStation 4 in 2016. And this track is called Soma, the Snow-Covered Expanse. And it's by one of my favorites, Motoi Sakuraba. Welcome back, dear listeners. That was Star Ocean, Integrity, and Faithlessness, which came out on the PlayStation 4 in 2016. Fun fact, it also came out on the PS3 in Japan. Did not come out here because of the supposedly small market for PS3 in other countries. Soma, the Snow-Covered Expanse is the name of the track, and it's by Motoi Sakuraba.
Love Motoi Sakuraba.
Agreed.
He does a lot of really good stuff.
He does.
This one, definitely powerful. Kind of emotional.
It is.
It's funny, as I'm listening to this, I feel, not that I think that it doesn't fit to this game, because I haven't played this game and I don't know much about it other than like what I know about the Star Ocean series.
Sure.
But I was thinking that this sounds like something that I would almost expect to have been in Celeste, because in my mind, you know, it's partly influenced by the name, but, you know, somebody is looking out over this like snow-covered expanse.
Sure. Yeah.
And that includes like a mountain. So as the track kind of builds, you're kind of like either looking up or climbing up the mountain, and just like all this snow, and you know, you need to be an elf so you can walk on top of it and not have to.
Interesting take on that.
Sorry, I got a little Lord of the Rings there.
This is the 5th Star Ocean game. The first one came out in the Super Famicom,
Oh,
and then the second one came out in the PS1. The third one came out in the PS2, and the fourth one came out on like PS3 and Xbox 360. So this one was exclusive to PS4 or Sony in general, with the PS3 as well.
Yep.
A lot of controversy about this game, mostly stemming from two things. One, this was right around the time when a lot of games were getting censored for their characters.
Oh, yep.
So, particularly the female protagonists or characters. So, I think there's a little bit of censorship that went on, and they also aged up most of the characters. Which is funny because there's one character in particular that's like, I don't know, I guess you could say she looks like a chessboard or a checkerboard, her outfit. So like, she reminds me of, what's her name, from Final Fantasy X.
Yuna?
Not
Riku?
Yuna. Not Riku. Who's the other one? Lulu.
Lulu, yep.
She reminds me of Lulu. Her hair's green and in like these crazy like spiral pigtail type things. And then she wears this checkerboard outfit where like parts of it are black and then parts of it are her skin like showing. So it's a you know, it's like a sexy chessboard.
What will they think of next?
Right, I know. Well, Star Ocean's always had like female protagonists with like really crazy clothes for the most part. Some of them were a lot more down to earth, not that important, but I just figured I'd mention that because that's part of the censorship. The other thing is a lot of people, a lot of hate towards this game because of, I guess they used a lot of like locations from previous Star Ocean games, and people felt like it was a little bit too copy paste sort of thing. For somebody who hasn't played a Star Ocean since 2, I was enjoying it. I own the third one, and I think I have the fourth one on PS4. Like they did an HD port of the fourth one, but I haven't started them yet. But I jumped in from 2 to 5. Like 2 I rented back in the day on PS1. And so when I got 5, I was kind of stoked for it. I got the game, sat down, started playing it, and I was enjoying it. I was having a lot of fun with it. I have not gotten to this part in the game, but I am probably about 10 hours in. Yeah, so I'm pretty far in. It is a shorter Star Ocean. That was another complaint that people had. Is it's not like a 80-hour smorgasbord.
What am I going to do with all this time? I'm not playing a game.
I know. Well, it's perfect for me, who the 30-something who has all kinds of responsibilities.
No time to play games anymore.
Right. So
I know what that's like.
So I started this one and I want to get back into it or maybe restart it because it's pretty cool. The main character in this one is a guy named Fidel, because they aged him up to 23 years. So you are kind of like waging war or trying to avoid war with like this other sort of faction who is trying to go against you, and then there's like these people that are after this little girl, and you're trying to save the little girl, and it's a little bit too complex for me to get into right now. But one of the cool things they brought back from the first game is private actions, where like you can have private conversations with some of the other cast members of your party, and it will like change the relationship that you have with them depending on what you ask or what you do or what you say or what if you talk to them or if you don't talk to them. So it's pretty cool. But yeah, it's funny. I also don't really get Motoi Sakuraba out of this. Well, it's
kinda
weird.
Like the last track,
yeah, kind of like the last track. Like Motoi Sakuraba, he's known for doing these like crazy progressive like rock tracks.
Like the track from Legend of Legai that I played.
Yeah. Or like really any of the battle songs in Valkyrie Profile. He did the Star Ocean series. He's done pretty much all of them. I don't know if he did the mobile game.
Their battle tracks have some pretty good Sakuraba.
Oh, totally.
Them. Yeah.
Oh, totally. They're kicking, man.
You also got to realize we're picking tracks that are like
winter tracks.
That are wintry. They're going to be a little outside of like Sakuraba style.
Yeah.
And it's really cool that both previously Mitsuda and right here Sakuraba like this shows how flexible they are.
Sure.
It's like it doesn't sound quote unquote doesn't sound like them, but at the same time they're the ones who are credited on the soundtrack, so we have to assume that it is them. And it shows like a completely different type of style that we don't normally see from them, which I think is really cool.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. So again, Sakuraba, he has done tons and tons of stuff. I mean, I gush about him pretty frequently. His early work on the Genesis is just phenomenal. Stuff like El Viento, Ernest Evans, and the third game that came out for the Mega CD, Annette Futabi.
Gotcha.
And so he did all the music for that. He's known for doing like in his songs, like particularly on the Genesis, he does like the hand claps.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, if you ever listen to a song, you'll hear the hand claps on stuff like El Viento. He also did Arcus Odyssey, which came out on a bunch of different systems, but personally, I'm a big fan of the Genesis version. He has continued to do work. Primarily, he was working for, I think he may have done Tales of Fantasia, the original Tales of Fantasia, because that was the game that was the last pre-TRAX game. That was made by Wolf Team, if I recall. And they left. They made that for, I think, Namco. And they left and made TRAX, the development company who later on got bought out by... Well, they were getting published by Enix, and then when Enix got bought out, they kind of came along for the ride, so Star Ocean kind of came with them. So, yeah, he did work for all the Star Ocean games. He did work for all the Valkyrie Profile games. Really just legendary composer. He has also done some work on some Mario stuff, too. I think he did Mario Golf. And maybe some...
That's a good game.
Yeah. I think he's done some work for like Hudson Soft and stuff like that. So,
Cool.
Yeah, he's one of the, very similar to Mitsuda. Sakuraba is one of those composers that lives to compose.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So let's move on to your next pick. Speaking of really obscure Japanese stuff.
Well, what are you talking about? So this is a PC-98 TurboGrafx 16 game that came out in 1996. The game is called Virgin Dream. The track is Event 1, and it was composed by Masahiro Kajihara. Welcome back from that dreamy track. That was Virgin Dream, the PC-98 and PC Engine CD game that came out in 1996. I think I said TurboGrafx 16, and I was wrong earlier.
Instant clarification.
Instantaneous. The track was called Event 1, and it was composed by Masahiro Kajihara.
This is a C-Lab game.
C-Lab, underneath the sea. Underneath the water.
No.
C-Lab.
No.
No, the letter C. C-Lab.
Yes.
They did a lot of, I want to say, Aero games on the PC-98 and PC Engine.
Yeah. I mean, they did some other non-eroge games. This definitely is a eroge game.
Well, yeah, not to the extreme that some of the other ones are. I would put this one probably closer to like an NC-17 or... I can't say PG-13.
No cheese under 17.
Yeah, exactly. I can't say PG-13 because there is, I guess, like a shower scene near the end of the game. I don't think you see anything. I think it's full back nudity, not full front nudity.
Okay. I think that could be PG-13.
Could it? Okay. I don't know how these things work, so I'm just trying to be safe here.
I think you can do topless in PG-13 movies.
Really?
I think so. I think the rules have changed.
Oh, then I don't know the rules anymore.
I don't know.
Either way, I was looking at some of the screenshots and some clips of this game.
Sure.
And there's not a whole lot here that's like anything like overtly sexual.
After hours.
Yeah, right.
Right.
There's a lot of skimpy stuff. So the whole game, it's one of those like life simulation games, sort of like the Princess Maker series. This is not part of the Princess Maker series. It's its own thing. The whole story, I guess, is that there's a pretty girl contest that's being held, and you are in control of a young girl who is trying to become a star over the next year. So you need to do things like
take showers.
Well, I'm guessing. So there are a couple different things that you can try to do for this pretty girl contest. You can become a singer, a photo model, a school teacher. There's a number of different things that you can go for.
Shower taker, professional shower taker.
I don't think that's one of them, but maybe in the PC98 version that's the.
Maybe
that's more explicit. Who knows?
Yeah.
Your activities over every day are divided into 3 groups. There's training, there's working, and there's learning. You're a young woman. You still have to go to school and all that stuff, and then eventually you participate in this contest, and you're like in a dormitory. You can make friends with or create rivalries with some of the other girls that are there.
Whoa! Hold on. Do you have to take tests?
Probably.
Yo, I'm not playing no games where I got to do homework. I'm done with that. Can you imagine that? You start playing a game and they're like, what is X times 5 or whatever?
Yeah, I don't think it works quite like that. I think everything's like, I want to say like a quick time event or something.
Yeah.
These games are fairly popular in Japan, where you're controlling the life of a character, and you have to a lot of times they are still young characters, so they're still in high school or whatever, and you still have to do those things.
If Yuki takes 5 showers,
jeez,
and Sarah-chan takes 2 showers over a period of time equal to Fujiko's,
where are you going with this?
How many licks does it take to get to the center of a Tootsie Pop?
3. Done. All right. Moving on.
All right.
That's the gist of the game. Is you're trying to become whatever it is, a model, singer, or whatever you want to do to win this contest.
Sure.
It's pretty interesting, and this is the track that plays during the first event in the game, which I believe takes place in like a winter timeline, but I don't actually know because I haven't played the game.
Oh,
but the track
feels
itself,
like it.
Yeah, the track itself is kind of wintry. You got a lot of those like not jingly,
like bells,
tinkly,
like ding,
like
ding, ding.
There you go.
Yeah. I really dig the beginning part of this. It sounds like most games that C-Labs and Kajihara, right?
Kajihara,
yeah, that he worked on, but I gotta say, when that other synth comes in, like afterwards, the one that's super abrasively loud, I don't know, that jives me wrong for whatever reason. It's a bit too sharp for me, and I like abrasive stuff, but it's just, I don't know what it is. I think it's just slightly too loud. Maybe it's the mix. I have no idea.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Could be. But on that note, speaking of Kajihara, Masahiro Kajihara has done a handful of things, starting out in 1989 doing a game called Mugen Senshi Valis 2. He was composer and arranger on that. Moving on in 1992, a game called Hole Chaser. 1990 again, Cybernetic High School Part 3 Gunbuster.
I'm never gonna not laugh
for Hole
at
Chaser.
Hole Chaser.
I mean, it gets right to the point.
I will always be 14 years old whenever I hear Hole Chaser.
I mean, I think we all will.
Yeah.
Speaking of, I think we mentioned this game earlier. He did sound in 1993 on Rusty.
Yep.
And then 1994, music and sound on Slayers. Princess Maker 2 in 1994. Princess Maker in 1995. Their last game, it was in 2006. They were credited for the music in Triggerheart Excelica.
Cool. Always good to have some PC98 on the show.
It is. But I think now we're getting a call.
Yes, we are.
So why don't you go ahead and send that on over. XVGM Radio, you are on the air. Who is this?
No, Garfield.
Garfield? Are you all right?
I ate lasagna.
That sounds like a lot.
Holiday lasagna.
What makes it holiday lasagna?
Green.
That's not good, Garfield.
No.
You need to get yourself to a hospital.
No. Play my song. Play my song.
John, if you can hear me, take your cat to the doctor. Oh, all right. Let's.
That didn't sound good.
No,
That
not at
sounded
all.
bad.
Let's play a track for Garfield so that he feels better.
Yeah. I'm with you on that one.
Okay.
Let's play a song from a game called Garfield, Winter's Tale. So this game came out on a number of different game systems, mostly all European-based. Starting off with the Commodore 64, which is the version we're going to be playing, the Amiga, the Amstrad CPC, the Atari ST, all of which were in 1989. It also came out on the ZX Spectrum in 1990. This track is the title theme, and it's by Dave Lowe.
You're listening to XVGM Radio.
Hey, welcome back. That was Garfield, Winter's Tale. That was the Commodore 64 version specifically, and that came out in 1989. The track is Title Theme, and it's by Dave Lowe. This is the only song that plays during Garfield's Winter Tale.
This is the only song on the soundtrack?
Yeah.
It's a good thing it's pretty decent.
Yeah.
Doesn't sound like something I'd want to rip my ears off after 12,000 loops, but who knows? Haven't gotten there yet.
Let's see what happens when you get there, yeah. So obviously it's based on the Jim Davis Garfield comic strip.
Oh, I thought it was based off of President Garfield. Oh,
Yeah,
I see.
sorry to let you down. This is actually the fourth game based on Garfield.
From the successful Garfield franchise.
Right. This game is action sports game. It starts off with Garfield sleeping in the cat box with blanket over his head or whatever. Fridge door is wide open, of course. That's the startup screen. And there's a skiing and lasagna factory that you can go through. There's also chocolate factory and skating on the frozen lake. Skating on the frozen lake, Garfield's got to reach the other side so that way he can get this chocolate egg laying chicken.
Makes sense.
Not a chocolate egg, but a chocolate egg laying chicken.
Yeah.
Right. The chocolate factory is where you have to try to find the chicken as well. So you're constantly chasing this chicken through the factory and then later on the frozen lake. The skiing and lasagna factory, that is where you jump on skis and you are trying to, go through like trees and bushes and hills and all sorts of stuff like that. Yeah. Odie also joins you on this, but he is, instead of using skis, he's using a dustbin lid.
Nice.
Yeah. It's a C64 game, but it's still, the visuals are very impressive. They're faithful to the Garfield franchise, so.
Nice. Lots of orange and black.
Yeah. The way that you measure Garfield's health is based on his face. So when he's happy, he's got full health. When he is getting more and more hurt, he becomes super sad, and then he becomes even more sadder. So, yeah.
Do you regain health by eating lasagna?
Well, that's the thing. You are asleep in this game. The whole thing is a dream, from what I gather.
That makes sense, because why else would Garfield be doing sports?
Exactly. So if you lose too much energy, he would wake up, and then the game is over or the level is over. So, yeah.
Okay.
That is the Garfield Winter Tale game. I have not played this. I have not seen any other version other than the C64.
I like the way the music sounds in this one. I mean,
for sure.
The song that we've been playing up until this has been a little bit more modern, minus, the PC Engine game, but that's still going to be Red Book Audio. So this one, going back to, the 80s, 90s on the Commodore 64, it's a lot more of a crunchy sound, and gets into some of those noises that I like.
I gotta say, the snowball sound. I hear a snowball sound like a snowball being thrown. That part where it's like, ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh. It sounds like a snowball being hucked. Possibly at Odie.
See that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or possibly by Odie.
Or possibly at Nermel.
Oh, I mean, if Nermel's not in a box being shipped to Abu Dhabi, then I don't know what this universe is.
Right. I gotta say about Nermel, I always felt really bad about Nermel. I feel like Nermel got treated way harsh.
I mean, to an extent, yes. Whenever Nermel showed up, at first I would always be like, oh, Nermel doesn't deserve all this hate. Then the longer Nermel sticks around, the more I'm like, yeah, just put him in a box. And
really?
Ship him. Yeah.
So is Nermel a boy or a girl? I always thought it was a girl. So this is from fandom.com. And they say some fans have mistaken Nermel for a female kitten because of his eyelashes, his seemingly feminine personality, and the tone of his voice on his early television appearances. Jim Davis often gives younger characters eyelashes, including Garfield himself in the Garfield segment of Garfield His 9 Lives and Orson at the beginning of the U.S. Acres comic strip. In Garfield and Friends, Nermel's voice was provided by Desiree Goyette. Starting with Garfield Gets Real, he is voiced by Jason Marsden, thereby breaking the confusion. So Nermel is apparently a boy cat.
Good.
Male cat. Nermel is vain and pampered, who regularly gets intentionally annoying towards Garfield, which usually results in Garfield trying to ship him to Abu Dhabi.
Yup.
Poor Nermel. This is going to sound really terrible, but I feel less bad about it now because Nermel's a boy. I know that sounds bad.
That's sexist, Mike.
I know, but I feel like I would feel really bad if it was like Nermel is like just a little baby cat, just a little baby female kitty, and he's like this brute who's just like, oh, whatever, you're annoying. Oh, lasagna. I'm gonna send you to Abu Dhabi. But now that I know that Nermel's like super vain and like just kind of annoying overall in general, like I remember Nermel from the cartoon, from the Garfield and Friends. Yeah. And so that's specifically why I always thought Nermel was a girl. So I guess this opened up my eyes as far as Garfield lore goes.
Yeah, speaking of Garfield lore and female cats, pop quiz.
Yeah.
Who was Garfield's original girlfriend?
Garfield had a girlfriend?
Oh yeah, back
Really?
in the 80s.
I don't know.
It was a pink cat who looked like a cross between Garfield and Odie because she has sort of the Odie posture.
Okay.
Although she stands on two legs, she's thin. She's pink.
What's her name?
Oh, I'm sorry, Arlene.
Arlene. Okay. And she puts up with Garfield?
I mean, she doesn't make a lot of appearances lately, and I think she was only in the old show Garfield and Friends. She was only like a cameo. She wasn't really a big part of it. It was mostly in the 80s.
Gotcha. Good to talk about Garfield lore on XVGM Radio.
Yeah, you know.
Who knew? Dave Lowe. He started off with Buggy Blast in 1985, followed up with Starglider and Rasputin in 1986, and a bunch of different C64 type games. Starglider 2, Turbo Outrun, Power Drift in 1989, Incredible Shrinking Sphere in 1989, Ghostbusters 2, and then followed it up with Double Dragon 2 The Revenge. I did sound effects on that one. And again, these are all C64 or European-based computers. I see some other Sega stuff like Galaxy Force 2 in 1990. Then later on moved on to stuff on the Amiga, stuff like Pinball Dreams in 93, Krusty Super Funhouse in 93, Frontier Elite 2, Cybermorph in 93, which was the Atari Jaguar game. His final game was Professional Underground League of Pain.
Ooh.
That he has music written, played, and recorded by him. So, and that was a DOS, PS1, and Windows game that came out. Published by Psygnosis, developed by Beyond Reality. So, there you go.
Nice.
What do you got next?
Next up, we have A World for Keflings. This is a 2010 Xbox Live Arcade release. The track is called Ice Kingdom Track 3, and it was composed by Eric Nunemaker, Mike Nielsen, Ben Bascom, and Randy Slade. Hey there, welcome back to XVGM Radio. That was Ice Kingdom Track 3 from A World for Keflings. This was an Xbox Live Arcade release in 2010. It also came out on the Wii...
On the Wii U.
Wii U, that's the one.
Indeed.
That I did not know. The composers on this one were Eric Nunemaker, Mike Nielsen, Ben Bascom, and Randy Slade, also known as Deathstroke.
Yes.
No.
What?
Randy Slade isn't Deathstroke. That's
Wait, what? I'm so very confused.
That's Slade Wilson.
Oh. Wait, what?
Deathstroke, DC, you know, Teen Titans, Titans.
You lost me.
You don't do DC at all.
I do Batman and Wonder Woman.
He's a Batman villain.
Gross. Okay.
Okay.
I've heard the name. I don't remember.
He's the orange and black guy, the half and half mask.
Yes, I know a picture of him. I do not know who he is.
Wow. Okay.
Did I just like offend you?
No, I'm just very surprised because you like Deadpool, and Deadpool's a rip-off of
is he?
Deathstroke.
Oh,
Yeah.
interesting.
Wade Wilson, Slade Wilson.
Oh, that's funny. Okay.
Slade Wilson came first, and then Marvel was like, "Hey, we're gonna let some guy who doesn't know how to draw feet take over this comic." Sorry.
Mad
sorry, not
hate.
sorry, Rob.
Mad hate to Mr. Rob Liefeld.
Well, I mean,
Wow.
all right, we're not going there.
Goodness.
This is
All
not
right.
a comics podcast.
This is
so.
not. Welcome to Comics VGM Radio, where we talk about Garfield and
comics.
and Nermel lore and comics. Apparently, we're talking about comics and stuff this episode. Yeah. Okay, so anyways.
Anyway, yes. So, World for Keflings. In our last episode, the free picks, I actually played a track from A Kingdom for Keflings. This is the follow-up that came out a few years later. It's very much along the same lines, except instead of it being, a big open forest area that you're building a kingdom in, there are multiple areas. There's a desert area, there's an ice area, there's, I think, like a jungle area, there's other DLC that you can get that add more sort of levels, and this is the music that builds and plays over the ice area that you're in. It starts out very simple when you're just sort of beginning, and then it adds different layers as you go through the level, similar to what I had mentioned in A Kingdom for Keflings.
Interesting.
Yes, very.
Cool.
It's a lot of fun. I mean, I sang the praises of the previous game in our last episode, so I won't waste a whole lot of time doing the same thing again, but it's a very relaxing, very sort of just fun, almost mindless game. The main difference is the areas and the different things you can build and how you upgrade, and each area is very unique in certain things that you can create there and certain things that you need to do. Each area has like a goal you need to get to something. It's neat.
Yeah, I've never played any of these games, like I mentioned last episode, but the music is pretty chill. I don't know if I would necessarily drive around and listen to this, but it's good.
Oh, yeah, no.
It's good in-game music. Let's put it that way.
Exactly. It's good in-game or good relaxing. Like, if we were to build a soundtrack of something to listen to by a fire, wrapped in a blanket, with a cup of hot cocoa, most of the stuff in today's set list, I would play while doing that.
For sure.
So some of them not so much, but like this is definitely one of them. It's very, very nice. I might have like a Yule log on Netflix on the background. I don't know.
Right.
I mean, or we can go outside, I guess. if
Right.
it's
We
not
just
raining.
burn stuff outside,
In my fire pit, yes.
Right.
With the 5,000 tons of wood that I have in my backyard.
Yeah.
Anyway, these composers. So Eric Nunemaker, you may remember from the last episode as well, because he also did A Kingdom for Keflings.
Right.
So just really quick, Virtual Bart 1994 did music and sound effects. Top Gear Rally 2 in 1999, audio director. Outpost Kaloki X in 2006 did music, and most recently Ninjutsu in 2014 did sound and music.
Cool.
These other folks are a little different. They are part of the Ninja Bee design team, and Ninja Bee did the design and the music for these games. So Mike Nielsen did Band of Bugs in 2007, A World of Keflings in 2010, and then Ancients of Uga in 2010. Ben Bascom did just A World of Keflings in 2010, and I think Randy Slade is the same thing. Yes, also A World of Keflings.
Cool.
So very, very short resumes in those folks.
Word. Let's talk about some nuts.
Let's talk about Mr. Nuts.
Oh, I guess. This came out in the Genesis and the Super NES in 1994. We're going to be playing the Genesis version. The song is called Ice Scream and Frozen Nuts with a Z. That was by Matt Furniss, who was the arranger, and Raphael Gesqua, who was the composer of the original track. Hey, welcome back to XVGM Radio. That was Mr. Nuts. That came out on the Genesis and the Super NES in 1994. That was Ice Cream and Frozen Nuts by Matt Furniss, who arranged it, and Raphael Gesqua, or Gesqua? I think Gesqua.
I would go with Gesqua.
Yeah, and he was the main composer. So this song on the Super NES, honestly, doesn't have that Furniss touch.
No.
It sounds a little bit more flat. The instrumentation is better, but at the same time, it just doesn't have the Furniss Flare, as I like to call it.
No, the Matt melody.
The Matt melody. Matt has arranged a ton of stuff on the Genesis, but I always feel like whatever he arranges on the Genesis becomes his own in a way. I love the hip hop vibe that he brings to this. It's like jungle tribe.
Yeah, it was really
tribal. Groovy. Yeah, it was really, really good. What did you think?
Everything you just said.
Really? That's it?
No. I liked the sound of this. I mean, you played a little bit of the SNES track just before we actually listened to this one.
Right.
And I didn't hear enough of the SNES track really to make like a decent comparison. But from the little bit I heard, I do really enjoy the Genesis version a lot.
Yeah.
It doesn't really use any of the sounds that I'm not a fan of. And I think it uses that synth chip really well to make a lot of the different sounds that it makes.
Probably the same Sean Hollingworth's sound driver that has been used in the past. I didn't see Sean Hollingworth as a credit for this, but you know, there's a really good chance that he's there, because if Matt worked on a Genesis game, most of the time Sean Hollingworth was involved.
Yeah. Fair.
Yeah. Matt Furniss, we've talked about on the show before. He's one of our favorites. He has done all sorts of amazing Genesis-based soundtracks. He also did some other stuff on the PlayStation. Fear Effect, he did the soundtrack to that. And yeah, he's done games like Bill's Tomato Game, which was unreleased, Adventures of Mighty Max. He did the arrangement of Mortal Kombat on the Genesis. Dan Forden's soundtrack. He did games like Wolfchild, which was the arrangement of that game, which also came out on like Amiga, Super NES, etc., etc. He did Alien 3 on the Genesis, I believe, as well. Yeah. So he's done a lot of like arrangement, but his arrangements always shine way brighter than the originals, in almost all circumstances, in my opinion. So
there's a little bit of flair that he brings.
The Furniss Flare, man.
Furniss Flare.
I'm telling you. So Mr. Nuts is a stupid
game that's
name.
hard to say without laughing, apparently.
Stupid name. So Mr. Nuts is a game. It's a 2D side-scroller platformer. It's, you know, one of those typical types of mascot games.
Oh, mascot game. Yep.
Right.
I mean, the character almost looks like Conker, to be honest.
Yeah, very similar to Conker. You know, they went with a squirrel design for this one, and a red squirrel wearing Chucks, you know, the shoes, gloves, vest, cap, etc., etc. There's 6 levels in this game. The whole point of the game is to stop Mr. Blizzard, who is a Yeti. He's trying to take over the world and turn it into ice. And obviously it's going to be no good for Mr. Nuts, because he needs nuts in his mouth.
Yep.
You know what? I'm not sorry. It's the truth. He eats nuts.
I know.
He gobbles nuts. He enjoys nuts. Nuts are his favorite food.
It's true.
Yeah.
I'm not arguing. I'm just rubbing my eyes and forehead in exasperation.
Oh. It looks like it runs a little rough on the Genesis. Maybe that's just the one that I saw, the long play that I watched on YouTube, but it looks like it runs a little rough in terms of the frame rate. Now, I could be totally wrong about that, but it still looked like a lot of fun. So I gotta give it up to Mr. Nuts. I don't know. It looks like one of those games where like it's generic, but it's like really colorful and fun looking too. Yeah. So at the same time, it's like, oh man, well, if I could jam out to these jams and, you know, play a fun little action platformer, I'll do it. I mean, if a game is mediocre but the soundtrack is great, to me, that's a good game. So, you know.
I mean, at what point does it become a soundtrack delivery system then?
It depends. If I'm having fun with it, then it's not. Mm-hmm. If I'm not having fun with it, then yeah, it's a soundtrack delivery system.
Gotcha. Right.
That's just me, though. But yeah, this only came out on the Genesis in Europe, apparently. It did not.
Oh, it didn't make it out over here?
It did not make it out over here in the US on the Genesis.
So then it didn't come out in the Genesis, it came out in the Mega Drive.
Right. It came out on the Super NES here. Mm-hmm. We also saw a Game Boy and a Game Boy Color port It did get released on Sega Channel.
I was just going to say, 95 Sega Channel.
But yeah, I gotta say, the Genesis music's just way, way better.
Yeah, sure.
I was really digging this track. I was feeling it. Good times, Mr. Nuts. Good times.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. So, the composers.
Yeah.
So, Matt Furniss, we already kind of dished on. Raphael Guesquois is a bit of a new name, but he is a French composer. He's done a lot of stuff for like feature films, short films, and series and stuff, but he also did video games. His latest game is Toki on the Nintendo Switch. But he started off way back when in '89. He did a lot of demo scene stuff for the Amiga, and then he jumped on and did Snow Brothers, which was unreleased on the Amiga, Flashback in '92, Jimmy's Fantastic Journey on the Amiga in '93, and then Mr. Nuts in '93. Followed that up with a bunch of Super NES and Genesis stuff like Shaq Fu, Mr. Nuts, Fade to Black on PC CD-ROM, Shaq Fu again on Game Gear and Commodore Amiga, Fade to Black on the PS1, Moto Racer and Moto Racer 2 on the PS1, Moto Racer 3 on the PC CD-ROM as well, Darkstone, Evil Reigns on the PS1, did a lot of PlayStation stuff, and then later made the jump to GameCube and Game Boy Advance, Nintendo DS. I mean, tons and tons and tons and tons and tons of games. He is a busy guy.
Nice.
Still working in the industry today.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Good to hear.
So, what do you got for me?
So, this is an Amiga and Commodore 64 game that came out in 1992. The game is called Winter Camp, and the track is called A Snowball Fight, also known as Stage 3, and was composed by Raine van Vliet. Hey, welcome back from camp, little kids. That was Winter Camp, the Amiga Commodore 64 1992 game. Specifically, we were hearing the track from the Amiga version of the game, and that was A Snowball Fight, also known as Stage 3, composed by Raine van Vliet.
I don't get a snowball fight out of this.
You don't get a snowball fight out of this?
I get like 1930 snowball fight, maybe.
I mean, that's maybe, I guess.
I don't know. I get a very old-timey, like black and white movie feel to it, like a silent movie of kids throwing snowballs.
Yeah, as soon as you said silent movie, I was
Yeah.
like, yeah, now I can kind of see it. Almost like the piano playing along
Yes.
Nickelodeon. You're watching this silent movie with Buster Keaton and whatnot.
Yes.
So this was a 1992 game, so it definitely was not from the silent movie era of anything.
Right.
But the game itself is a neat little game. You play as this mouse named Maximus Mouse, M-A-U-S, and he is trying to become a Rescue Ranger, not
What?
Disney, not TM Disney Rescue Rangers, but a Rescue Ranger, both lowercase, in the nice winter camp called Nice and Icy. So the game starts off and you are not even a ranger yet. So
Oh, boy.
Level 1, you actually have to prove yourself to become a ranger. So the first couple of levels...
Please tell me it's
No.
Snowball Fights. Just Snowball Fights.
No, that's the third level. The third level is Snowball Fight. Level 1 is ice skating school, so you have to basically run 3 races and prove that you are good enough by beating these 3 characters.
What does that have to do with being a rescue ranger? Are you only rescuing people in the snow?
Yes, this is a winter camp.
But
So you're a ranger for the
Okay.
camp that takes place in the wintertime, and you have to be able to rescue people, because the next level,
I've never heard of a winter camp.
neither have I. I've only heard of summer camps, to be honest.
I was
but
going to say, this has got to be
maybe that's
like,
why everything in the camp is an anthropomorphic animal. Like you
okay.
you're a mouse. There are penguins. There are vultures. There are frogs. All sorts of.
Do you think
animal characters.
Do you think animals have winter camp?
You know, if a tree falls in the forest, am I deaf? Like, what does it matter? It's a game. It's cute.
True.
It looks kind of neat. I don't know how far it goes, but like, so the second level is where you are, you know, you're rescuing people. You're on the ice patrol and you're skating around on ice trying to save people that are stuck in one way or another. I need rescuing. The third level is a snowball fight. It's just, you know, for funsies.
Right.
There are characters that are hiding in a tree. You have a little reticle. You move the reticle around and try to hit them with your snowballs. And then there's level 4 is another rescue mission. People are stuck in the river, so you have a canoe and you're going down the river. Level 5, you fall through some snow out of your canoe, and then you end up in this ice cave. And now you're trying to like get out of the ice cave before you get eaten by a yeti.
Okay.
It looks pretty neat.
Another
There's 8 levels in total.
Yeti based boss.
Yep.
Just like Mr. Nuts. I see a trend. I picked an anthropomorphic game, and you also picked an anthropomorphic game.
Yeah, I feel like there's a lot of good winter anthropomorphic games, or
I can get on board with
winter-based or
that.
snow-based, or it makes most sense. You know, you don't have to worry about freezing to death because you have layers of fur,
That's true.
potentially fat.
True.
So, what do you think of the track?
I liked it. I didn't like it as much as I liked the Mr. Nuts track, but I enjoyed listening to it. But yeah, I got a real like jingle jangle 30s,
Yeah,
20s. Yeah.
that's fair. That's fair.
I just picture somebody with a phonogram or whatever turning the handle while it plays.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, Rainer van Vliet. I'm not even sure if I'm saying that right. Last name is spelled V-L.
Rainier van
Rainer.
Vliet.
Yeah. So the first name is definitely Rainer.
Yeah.
Then Vliet. Vliet.
Sounds like German or French, so Vlay.
The audio credits that he has, so he's an Amiga guy. All of his credits, aside from this one, which I'm guessing that he probably composed this on the Amiga and then it was ported some way to the
Makes
Commodore
sense.
64.
Yeah.
He started out in 1988 doing a game called Ball Raider 2.
Ball Rider 2?
No, Ball Raider 2.
Okay. Somehow that's almost as bad.
Yeah, you know. Well, I mean,
Don't
it's
let
not-
Mr. Nuts know
Yeah,
about that.
there you go.
Yeah.
He went on then to do Winter Camp in 92, Boroboder, The Planet of Doom in 1992, and then finally Bump and Burn in 1994 he did the music on.
That's what happens when Mr. Nuts gets a bit too rough.
That's
Bump and burn,
took
man.
the words right out of my mouth.
All right, well, it looks like we are getting a call on our caller request line.
Colometer.
Callometer. Oh, I like that. Janine, can you forward that call over to us, please? Caller, you are on the air with XVGM Radio. Who am I speaking with, and what do you want to hear?
Hey, this is X from Megaman X. I want you to play me a song.
Okay, X. Hey, I gotta ask you while you're on the air, why is it that you sound like way higher pitch than Megaman? Wouldn't you think that Megaman would have the higher pitched voice?
It's time to get serious.
Okay, I think he just hung up. Yeah?
Yeah.
Janine, can you confirm that? Yeah? Okay. He just hung up.
Let's I mean, he's got plenty of good tracks.
Whatever's... Well, yeah, there's tons of tracks that we could play for Mega Man X. So let's go with X3. This is the Blizzard Buffalo theme. This came out in the Super NES in 1995, and it is by Kinyo Yamashita. Thanks for joining us back on our winter episode, Winter Tracks. This is a Megaman X song that we just played from X3, and that was Blizzard Buffalo's theme by the lovely Kinyo Yamashita, and she composed that on the Super NES in 1995.
Very nice. Very iconic.
Oh, for sure. I dig that track. It's not my favorite of this soundtrack, but when I think of frozen tundra levels, I either think of this or Chill Penguin.
I would say Frost Walrus, then Chill Penguin, then Blizzard Buffalo. I'm not as familiar with X3. I haven't played that one as much.
Oh, no?
No, I played it back in the day. I never had it on the SNES. I had a friend who had it, so I was able to play it and beat it once.
Yeah.
I don't know. It never grabbed me as much as some of the others, so I never really went back to it. I'm pretty sure I've got a thing of it somewhere that I can play on my computer. But yeah, no.
But yeah, it's the real deal. X3 is a good game. It's not my favorite of the trilogy. I'd say it's my least favorite of the trilogy, but
1, 2, and then 3?
No,
2, 1,
2,
3.
1, and then 3. I love me some 2. I rented both X2 and X3 back in the day at my local video store, and I really enjoyed X2, and when it came to X3, I also really liked it, but I felt like that was as much as you can do with it on the Super NES. They used a lot of like Super FX 2, I think, chips, special features or whatever.
Yeah.
And so they kind of threw in some pseudo 3D with some like vector line 3D graphics, and it was impressive for its time. And I don't know, I think that both X2 and X3 are really good, but I think X2 kind of squeaks ahead quite a bit. So
Fair enough.
yeah, I think nostalgia kind of makes X1 be like a little better for me.
Yeah.
But yeah, X3 is a really cool game, and actually they supposedly made X3 with a lot of like third-party involvement, including music.
Really?
Yeah. So Kinyo Yamashita was doing work with Konami back in the day, was the original composer for Castlevania, and later on did King Kong 2 on the Famicom, as well as, I believe it's called Hinatori Hohohen.
Oh, yep.
We talked about that. Arumana no Kiseki. She's uncredited for that, but she did the music for that Famicom Disk System game in 1987, as well as doing sound effect conversion data production for Snatcher in 1988. Later on, she jumped over to work with Natsume, and so she started doing stuff like Power Blade 2. She did Ghost Sweeper Makami Joreshi wa Nice Body. Love that.
Oh, yes.
Always loved talking about that game. It's a great game. Pocky Rocky 2 and also Mega Man X3. She did in between doing Mighty Morphin Power Rangers in 94 and doing Mark Davis the Fishing Master and Casper in 1997. So those are both Natsume games as well. The credits for Natsume are kind of weird. Like, all the stuff that over the years I've seen labeled for Ikumizutani, some of it ends up getting labeled for Kinyo Yamashita. Not all of it, but some of it. For example, Croc 2 and also Dragon Dance. Same thing with Casper, Power Rangers, Natsume Championship Wrestling, etc., etc. Some of the main composers that worked at Natsume at that time were Miss Yamashita, Ikumizutani, Hiroyuki Iwatsuki, Koichi Yamagishi. So a lot of different composers all kind of working together. And in a lot of ways, at least back in the day, Ikumizutani kind of took the lead on a lot of stuff as like the project lead.
Yeah.
So we interviewed him on Pixel Tunes, my previous podcast. We asked him a lot of questions about this type of stuff. And he would be like, yeah, we'd all kind of like take turns working on stuff. So that's why there's a little bit of confusion with certain credits on these Natsume games, and even some of the Konami stuff too back in the day, because everybody was kind of working on it in tandem. So yeah. But anyways, Mega Man X3 is a totally different beast, because again, it was developed by Capcom, it was published by Capcom and everything, but credits-wise, if you look at the credits, there's additional design staff from Minakuchi Engineering. So they were hired on mostly as sound support and music support, but they were brought on to kind of like work with Keiji Inafune and some of the other graphic designers and directors and producers and everything to finish the game.
Yeah.
To put it out on the Super Nintendo. And it later on got ported to the PlayStation, the Sega Saturn, etc., PC, etc. But those versions all have like arranged soundtracks. So it's interesting because aside from the ports that this game has received elsewhere, the only hard copy that you can get, I believe, is this Super NES cart of that version. Maybe the Virtual Console versions have it, and I have not checked out the X Collection, the recent one that came out, but I believe the version that's on the X Collection that came out during like the GameCube and PS2 era, that had the arranged soundtrack on it from like the Saturn era, if I recall. I don't think you could have the choice between switching back and forth.
Interesting.
I'd have to double check, but I'm almost 99% sure that you did not have an option. It was just the arranged Saturn version. So that's that. So we talked about Kinuya Yamashita. We talked about Megaman X3. So let's wrap up the episode with your final pick. What do you got for us?
All right. So for my final pick, we're going back to a game series that I love very, very much. This is Real Mist. Came out on Windows in 2000, on Mac OS in 2002. The track is called Rhyme Age, and it is by Robin Miller and Tim Larkin. Wake up. That was a bit of a sleeper of a track. That was The Rhyme Age from Real Mist. Came out in Windows in 2000 and Mac OS in 2002. Composed by Robin Miller and Tim Larkin. This was very atmospheric.
Very chill.
Very chill.
Yes.
Pun intended.
Yes. I dig ambient tracks like this, but I gotta be in a mood to listen to them. One of my favorite ambient albums is Music for Airports. Brian Eno.
Oh, yeah.
Good album. So,
as most other tracks from the Myst games are, a lot of them are very ambient, or they're good for background. This one specifically is from Real Mist, not from Original Mist, because the Rhyme Age was not added until they did this re-release.
okay.
There were originally just the, Mist, Mechanical, Celentic, Channelwood, and I've lost track of the other ones off the top of my head. There are 5 main worlds to the original Mist game, and when they remade the game with like first-person view controls where you can physically move through the world as opposed to the click and move options, they went back and added this this age that was actually kind of mentioned in a couple of the books that you can see in the library. So it was an age that was talked about, but you never actually got to go to. And then after you beat the game in Real Mist, there's a new book just on the floor in the library. And as you approach it, this music starts playing. And as you go there, the track starts over. And it is just, it is basically like an ice world. You're transported to this place where there's snow everywhere. You're on top of like a mountain, or maybe it's a giant glacier, who knows. And there's a research facility. And it's neat. There are different things you can do here. It's generally nighttime, so there's a little, it's not really a puzzle, but there are like levers you can play with, and they adjust like an aurora borealis, and it's beautiful.
Cool.
Like, it's post-game material. It's not meant to be like super hard puzzles or anything. It's just sort of like, enjoy this really cool, really beautiful world.
Interesting. Mist has never been my cup of tea.
Yep.
It definitely has some interesting music, for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
So tell me about the composers.
Yes. So Robin Miller, we talked about on Justin's Picks episode, because he did the music for the Myst games.
Right.
Started doing sound and music on Spelunks in the Caves of Mr. Pseudo. That was a Cyan game back in 1991. Then did Myst, Riven, Real Mist, and most recently in 2016, Cyan had another game called Abduction, and it was billed as like, from the creators of Myst and whatnot.
Okay.
And I just picked that up today, the day that we are recording this.
Oh, nice.
Maybe I'll have time over the next month to actually sit down and give it a shot.
Yeah, maybe pick some music from that.
Yeah.
There you go.
And then we have Tim Larkin, who started out doing music and sound design in 1989's The Playroom. This guy did a lot of different stuff. Looks like he came to and stuck with Myst for a while, but went on to do lead sound design on Riven, did some recordings on the Rugrats movie Activity Challenge in 1998. Clifford the Big Red Dog Learning Activities in 2001 did music and sound design. Uru to Denis and Uru the Pass of the Shell, these are both Myst-related games in 2004. Did some composition stuff on Myst 5, End of Ages in 2005. And then most recently, we have additional sound design on StarCraft 2 Wings of Liberty in 2010. So looks like they were pretty freelance, bounced around a lot.
Cool. So that brings us to the end of our winter TRAX episode. We hope that you have a happy and safe holiday season, no matter what you celebrate, or if you don't celebrate anything, have a great winter.
Yeah.
Get out, enjoy the chilly air, or just, spend time indoors and grab yourself either a hot chocolate or a hot cider, or maybe some
hot toddy.
So, favorite tracks of the night.
Yes, indeedy. I've been thinking about this one a lot, and I think I'm going to go with A World for Keflings track.
Okay.
It was really chill, really kind of relaxing. And maybe it's just the memory of playing that game and how sort of like laid back it is that kind of put me in a relaxed mood.
Okay. I am going to go with Celeste.
Oh, okay.
I was very impressed with Celeste, and I cannot get that Moog synth style out of my head once it's burrowed in there. Runner-up would have to be that Mr. Nuts track.
Of course.
Honestly,
I thought you were going to pick that one.
Love me some Matt Furniss jams. And if I had to pick a third, I'd go Jackrabbit 2.
That's fair. I kind of forgot about that one. I do like that track as well.
Yeah.
I mean, everything on here was good in some way.
Good stuff. Yeah.
Good, chill, wintry tracks. So, we'd like to take a moment to thank our Patreon patrons, without whom this show's continued improvement would be impossible. They are Alex Messenger, Scott McElhone, Cam Worma, Dan Lawton, Chris Murray, Kung Fu Carlito of the Heroes 3 podcast, Jordan and Anson Davis, Chris Myers, Llama Adam, Jeremy Rutz, Peter Panda, Bedroth, Nick Davis, Brad Austin, Mixmaster, and the Autistic Gamer 89. If you would like to become a patron, you can sign up at patreon.com/XVGM Radio. There you can see the different tiers as well. Just $1 gets you a thank you and access to our monthly live shows.
You can visit our website, xvgmradio.com, where you can listen to all the episodes and learn more about your hosts, as well as any of our guests or composers that we've had on the show.
If you'd like to reach out to us, you can always email us at xvgmradio@gmail.com.
And if you'd like what you've heard, please consider giving us a rating on iTunes and a review.
You can also join our Facebook group and chat with other VGM lovers at www.facebook.com/groups/XVGM Radio, where we talk about everything from current game news to sharing awesome VGM tracks, or just talking about the podcast itself.
And you can find us on Twitter and Instagram. Our handle for both of those sites is at XVGM Radio.
If you don't have any other social media or just want to try something unique, check us out on our Discord group chat. Links will be in the show notes.
Okay, in 2 weeks, we are coming back. It's a new year, 2020. We're going to bring in the new year with a bang.
With a friend.
With a friend, yes. What are we doing on episode 42?
So episode 42 is going to be all about Sierra games. These are games from Sierra Online. They're often from like the 70s to the 90s, things like King's Quest, stuff like that.
Yep.
Sierra, they made a whole ton of
adventure games
back in the day, and our friend Brian, who's part of the Pixel Stories podcast, is going to join us to talk about these lovely games.
Yeah, he has a great Rolodex of knowledge when it comes to these types of adventure games, and so we're going to be talking to him about Sierra. We're going to dive deep into the history of the company and the composers. So that'll be episode 42 of XVGM Radio.
In 2 weeks.
So again, this is Mike.
And Justin.
Saying thank you so much again for celebrating with us the past year or two. So this is Mike.
And Justin.
Signing off for XVGM Radio. And this is episode 41. Winter Jams, right?
Sure.
Winter tracks.
It's all the same.
He just hung up.
Let's, he's got plenty of good tracks.
Whatever's a robot's business is in his pants is not my business. All right? We're not talking about nuts anymore. No more Mr. Nuts.
Do robots even wear pants?
Do robots wear pants?
I don't think he does. He's got everything's metal. You think he wears pants underneath all that armor?
There's no way we could keep any of this.
Nope. Not at all.
All right.